It's Jay from ASMR for Nerds. So, I feel like the past couple of videos started this way, but I'll start it again this way. I'm sorry for my seemingly delayed absence. I've been just very busy this summer, kind of carried over into the fall, handling my business and everything. I have not forgotten about you guys. In fact, last week I was responding to some comments, and there was someone who said, I guess, asking me to upload another video. And I promised them I would the following day. And I did not do that because the following day I woke up with a really bad cold. This was this past Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And now I'm just getting over it, so I thought I'd make a video. I've been up to a lot of different things lately. One particular thing I'll share with you soon. Something that's been quite, I guess the word is transformative for me. So although I feel like I know some of you guys, I actually feel like I know a lot of you guys, even if we don't interact. I do interact with some of you in the comments, but as someone who goes to ASMR on a nightly basis to relax, we do have that in common. I know many of you do use these videos, mine specifically and others, for that purpose. I guess there's a kinship there. So while I talk to you guys today, I wanted to show you me and my girlfriend and some of my friends have just recently, at an older age, gotten into magic cards. I don't have much experience in it, although I'm familiar with card games, I guess, like it and the general idea. I've always played RPGs in my life, so a lot of the concepts do carry over. So I wanted to show you guys some decks I've built. Feel free to criticize them as you see fit. So while I do that, I was going to talk to you guys about what I've been up to. Outside of work, of course. We'll play with these dice too in between, I guess. So first I'll show you my black deck. A graveyard heavy deck. So, not that there's much to it, but something I've been pursuing lately. So a few years ago, I had started going to a therapist. Not a typical therapist, one that specializes in things like meditation, mindfulness, stuff like that. Because I guess I've always been interested in trying to figure out how to get a handle on my mind. Because, that's one of the most difficult things to do. So, in those 2 years, we've talked a lot, gotten to know each other. And he's always told called. He actually called me the befuddled Buddhist. For those of you who are not familiar with Buddhism, it's considered a religion. However, it's not a religion at all. Essentially, it's an ancient form of psychology. Now, it might seem at first that an ancient form of psychology would be a silly thing to study or pursue. Because we've had some significant advancements throughout human history understanding how the mind works. However, what a Buddhist would argue is that we understand to an extent how the mind works theoretically and scientifically. Still, we don't know that much. But we don't understand our own minds. And when I say our own minds, I mean the ones that make us up. As I guess what you'd call individuals, but we'll get into that later, why that's not a good term. So, understanding the mind experientially is something that's important and not, I think, is not a focus in modern day living. I think, and I've always felt, even when I wasn't even aware of it, that I had no control over my own mind, and that seemed like something that, I don't know, I should have, but I didn't. It almost seems impossible to think that you can control your reactions. And I don't just mean reactions in the sense of someone yells at you and you yell back. A reaction would also be someone yells at you and you feel bad about yourself. Now, there's all kinds of reactions like that we go through. And that's at the end of the day, a cause for most human suffering. It's not the pain itself, mental or physical. It's the layers of suffering we introduce to it. So I'll give you an example. A main issue for me in my life, a problem that has come up over time, is an inability to fall asleep regularly. Over the years, it has improved greatly. Where I'd say I even have a pretty good handle on it now, but I do have times where I fall back in, which I guess is normal. It's a fairly normal thing for people to have trouble sleeping time to time or even often, especially these days. So, if I wouldn't sleep, or if I'd be up in bed, trying to fall asleep, thinking, if I don't fall asleep, tomorrow's gonna be bad. I'll be very tired at work. I might be over emotional. I'm basically while I'm laying in bed, not yet fallen asleep, thinking already about the next day and the negative consequences. Now, although not sleeping does have negative consequences, I have found it's never as bad as I thought it was the night before. I always get through it. I always survive. Although, in those moments at night, it feels like it is life and death, and it's not. So what I'm doing is I'm adding a layer of suffering. I'm adding a story to what's really going on. And what's really going on is I'm just not asleep yet. There are people outside, cars going by, people up watching TV. No issues for some reason. For me, sleep is the only thing that exists, and I have no way of grasping it. It sounds awfully dramatic when talking about something that everyone experiences, which is the occasional lack of sleep. So that's an example of adding a layer of suffering. Yes, there is some suffering with being tired, but I think we could all agree the mental suffering of the frustration, the anxiety, and the fear is always worse than the reality of it. That's kind of at the heart of at least the basic understanding of Buddhism, is to see the world as it really is. And the Dalai Lama himself said he doesn't believe necessarily that everyone should be a Buddhist. He just believes everyone should. Use the philosophies of Buddhism, which is mindfulness, an understanding that nothing is permanent, and an understanding that all things are interdependent with each other. That includes living things and objects. So when you put it that way, it is essentially not a religion, just a way of thinking. Now you could get into things like the belief in reincarnation, but that even has an explanation within Buddhism that is more of a secular nature rather than a religious one. And that would be that not necessarily a soul or a never-ending permanent entity enters and leaves a body and moves to the next. It's more, if you think of a stream of consciousness that's shared throughout all humans. Everything I do and say has an effect in the world. So even when I'm gone, those ideas continue in one way or another. The ripple that you have caused is significant. So, even when you pass, the ripple that you have caused will continue forever, even after Earth is gone. It's pretty intense. So, the main parts again, the understanding that nothing is permanent. Everything exists due to the causes and conditions that allow it to exist. Nothing exists independent of everything. And now that includes yourself. So what does that say about yourself? Perhaps there is no self. Perhaps you are just a part of a continuity of causes and conditions. All of the things that led to you being here. All of the life, all of the death, all of the good and the bad, ancestors survived so you could be here. And that doesn't just include humans, reptiles, bacteria, everything. Asteroids that came together to create Earth. Everything. These are your relatives. So when looked at that way, there is no self. So, where does a lot of our suffering come from? It comes from our grasping at self-preservation, fearing things like death. And I know, guys, that this might not be seemingly the most relaxing topic, but it's important to face things with courage. It's difficult to talk about and think about when your perspective is that you have a self to preserve. However, you don't. You share existence with all things. A good way of thinking about it is this. When you think about yourself, you consider that you are you. And when you look at someone walking down the street, say they give you a bad look, your feeling is, oh, they just gave me a bad look. They did something to you, which is implying that you are you and they are another. In Buddhism, they call it the other. Now, if you looked at it for what it really is, he didn't do anything to you. He doesn't know you. And at the same time, what part of you did he insult? What part of you is you? Many people would say, oh, that's easy, the brain is me. Now what about if you, I don't know, had a brain injury? Are you not you anymore? Of course you are. If you lost a limb, you're still you. Even your memories, people who say have Alzheimer's, they are still themselves, even without their memories. So when you look at it, what part of you is you? There is no part. You are a culmination of everything that makes you you. And that includes the cells that are replicating every second. Meaning, every second you're a different version of you. The only constant is change. So, what is death really other than change? Now humans fear change, and that's only because we build up a delusion, an illusion, that we are, as a person, permanent and ongoing and important, when in real life we are interdependent. We are not permanent. We rely on everyone. Now, what do Buddhists say? What do you do with all this? It sounds almost nihilistic. And to be honest, as I was telling you guys before, my therapist told me that a Buddhist's mindset without guidance breeds nihilism. Because the feeling is, okay, so we're all gonna die. I see the world for what it is. I am impermanent. So nothing matters. But a Buddhist would argue, nothing is permanent. So therefore everything matters. Because everything is a cause. And without a cause, there could be no effect. And without effect, there could be no existence. So for life to exist, death must exist. for sadness to exist, for happiness to exist, sadness must exist. So if that's the case, if you're feeling sad, it's okay. Most of us resist those feelings. I know I do, or I tend to. I'm trying to not anymore. But it's not something needed. You don't need to resist your feelings. Rather, try practicing, not engaging with them. An example of this would be, you feel angry. Say you're walking down the street here in New York City. There's a lot of people on bikes. Say someone's bike almost hits you and they yell and curse at you. Your first reaction is to get angry and curse back. So what's happening there is your animalistic, instinctual brain or mind is telling you, this person has done something to you, retaliate, and you do. Now, the moments in between that reaction, that cursing back and yelling back, and the moment when the other person cursed at you, in between those moments is a small window for a choice to be made, to react or to respond. What Buddhism does is through practicing everyday mindfulness, being present and aware of yourself, your own feelings, and everyone else's, that you'll be able to liberate yourself from that instant reaction and learn how to respond in a way that is compassionate to other people. Now, when you are compassionate to other people, you benefit, they benefit. So, you find happiness through compassion for others. So that's basically the ideas behind Buddhism, and I guess the main ideas that have had me gravitate towards it. I've been going to a temple in New York City, learning how to meditate, trying to practice mindfulness day to day. And I encourage anyone who has an interest in understanding the workings of the mind to not ignore modern psychology, but include ancient psychology such as Buddhism. Because although technology and science wasn't as available then, what was available was opportunity. People had immense suffering and difficulty, and less resources, no medicines to deal with them and stuff. So the Buddha went through much suffering to come to these conclusions about how the mind works and how to harness the power of the mind, and basically how to not be afraid of your mind, how to enjoy your mind and be within it and allow things to just be. Because these days, that's one thing that many people find difficult, just allowing yourself to be without the distraction of a phone or a TV. It's very difficult for us to just be. So that's what Buddhism is starting to train me to do, and it's been very effective. I think it's the best pursuit I've taken in my life, and I think I'm already experiencing the benefits from it. If anyone has any interest in looking into it, again, this is no conversion attempt. I'm not a religious person. Buddhism can be practiced secularly through just the practice of mindfulness, meditation, calming the mind, inner tranquility. Because with inner tranquility comes the ability to provide inner or insight into yourself, which allows you then to improve your reactions and now your perspective of the whole world. Now, guys, I didn't mean to be, I guess, preachy or even get into this that much, but it's something that's been important to me and helpful, and I wanted to share with you guys what I've been doing. So, any questions or requests or yelling at me to get back to comic books, feel free.